think that Africa is a country, but it's not. Africa is a continent, and Nigeria is a country. And the country in Africa is where this story is from. It's a folk tale, and a lot of times folk tales were told so that people could understand things. The reason behind Zomo, which is Zomo the rabbit is the name of the story, is it explains why rabbits run so quickly, okay? So that's a little background there on Zomo. Well, Wiley, of course, Wiley the story bear, went over to Nigeria, and he came back wearing authentic Nigerian wear. And he befriended Zomo the rabbit. And we have because this is my last one for this year, I brought Zomo, or actually Wiley brought Zomo to help tell the story. Zomo has his drum, which is in the story. Now we better get started, because my second story is amazing too. All right. I am ready. Zomo was not big. Zomo was not strong. But Zomo was clever. But Zomo wanted to be wise. Wise like the old owl in the tree. So Zomo went to the sky god and asked if he could give him wisdom. And the sky god said, well, that's a tall order, Zomo. There are 3 things you have to do in order for me to give you wisdom. The first is you have to go to the ocean and get all the scales off big fish of the sea. And big fish was a huge fish, the size of a whale. The second thing you have to do, you have to go and get the milk from wild cow. Wild cow. It was a cow with horns. And thirdly, and probably the most difficult, you have to get me the tooth of leopard of the jungle. Well, Zomo thought for just a second and said, if it's possible, I will do it. The first thing he did was go to the ocean. He took his drum, you saw his drum back here, and he started playing. He was a great drum player. Everybody danced to his music. And he was playing the drum and playing the drum and playing it louder and louder and louder, so loud that big fish of the sea heard it at the bottom of the sea. Big fish loved music. And the louder he played, the more fish danced in the ocean. But then he jumped out of the water and landed right next to Zomo on the beach. And he started dancing. And Zomo kept playing faster and faster. And the faster he played, the faster the big fish danced. And as he danced, all of his scales fell off. This fish looked down at himself and he was embarrassed. He didn't have any scales on, so he jumped back in the water. Well, Zomo took his hat off, scooped up all the scales. Number 1 was done. The second thing, wild cow. He followed a path into the jungle, over some hills, to the place where wild cow grazed. He saw him, and Zomo climbed a rubber tree. And from the rubber tree, he looked down and he said, hey, you don't look so tough to me. Oh, wow. Wild cow looked around. Who is that? He said. It's me up in the tree. You don't look so tough. I bet you can't even knock this tree down. Well, wild cow took his back hoofs and he got ready to run. And he ran right into that tree. But it was a rubber tree, remember? So it was soft. So his horns got stuck in the tree. Zomo came down the tree, took his drum, turned it upside down because it was hollow, and he milked Wild Cow. And by the time Wild Cow unstuck his horns, Zomo was miles away. Number 2 was done. The third chore was going to be rough. The tooth of the leopard of the jungle. Well, he knew the leopard used to every day go up on the highest mountain. So Zomo climbed the mountain. He got up to the tip top, and he took his hat and sprinkled some fish scales. Then he took the drum and sprinkled some milk, making it slippery. And he ran down the hill and hid behind a rock. Well, pretty soon, the mighty leopard of the jungle came up to the top of the hill, stepped on the fish scales and the milk, and slid all the way down the mountain. Bumped his head right on that rock, and his tooth popped out. It flew through the air, and Zomo caught it. He had all three. He had the scales of big fish, the milk of the wild cow, and the tooth of the leopard. So he went back to Sky God. He said, "Here I am. I've got all three items you wanted. Now, will you make me wise?" Sky God said, "You know, there are three things you really need in life. The first is courage. And I must say, you certainly have courage. The second is good sense. And you can work on that a bit, but you've got plenty of sense. But the third is caution. Because the next time you meet big fish or wild cow or even the leopard, you will need to run as fast as you can." Well, Zomo is not big. Zomo is not strong. But Zomo is wise, and he can run really, really fast. And that's the story of Zomo.